there everyone, welcome to What Thought Not Reviews, where I'm going to answer the simple question, is Watch Dogs for the PS4 worth it or not? And also, does it live up to the hype for the past 2 years? Let's sit down and figure this out, shall we? Watch Dogs. This game was first announced, if memory serves me, back in 2012 at E3. In fact, I think it was near enough the game of the show for a lot of people. It won countless awards to being the biggest preview or announcement of that year. It won countless awards, and even I'll admit, the game looked really fucking interesting, and it also looked gorgeous. And it was going to be a launch title for the PlayStation 4. And the game did look really, really good at the time. And I was like, I'm interested. I want to see where this goes. 2 years down the line, let's just see if it lives up to it, shall we? This game was originally meant to come out last year, but it got delayed for some reason. We never really found out why it was delayed. Some people were speculating it was bugs. Some people were saying, oh, they want to upgrade it a bit more. In my opinion, delaying's never a bad tactic, unless it gets cancelled. But, you know what I mean. And we finally figured out why it was delayed. It was so they could downgrade it. And I don't know if this is confirmed, but it's blatantly obvious that this game has been downgraded from its initial previews at E3 both years. The game looked absolutely gorgeous. Cinematics and action sequences. It looked beautiful, and also had one or two other game schematics. One of the first things they showed off at E3 the first time it was in was the fact that you were playing as the character Aiden Pierce, and then you swapped to another character. And this is not in this game whatsoever. I am not kidding you. But before I want to talk a little bit more about this hype thing, and then I'll go into the full-on review. The game has obviously been downgraded. It looks worse than it did when we saw the previews, even on the PC version, from what I can gather. But I'm not going to go too much into that until I get to the graphics. Right now, let's dive into the first part of every review I do, which is the most important one in my opinion: story. You play as Aiden Pierce, a hacker who with a bit of help, finally figured out how to hack into the CTOS, which is basically a large-scale networked city in Chicago. So in Chicago, they've built this network, which basically connects everything from mobile phones, steam vents. It basically makes everything operate on one secure network. And you control the CTOS, you control everything. And that's what Aiden Pierce kind of does with his phone. He actually controls everything. He can hack ATMs, people's bank information. He can hack everything. During one job, however, where he was with one of his partners, he walks into a hotel and literally walks out with $100,000 in 30 seconds. But his partner got a little bit too ambitious, and they got caught. Sort of. And the people that caught them aren't exactly the police. And subsequently, a sort of like hit was put out on them, and Aiden Pierce was, due to, I don't want to spoil what happens, but he loses something very important to him, and subsequently it basically sets him out on this whole not really more of a revenge. I don't want to say, yeah, it'd be a bit fucking revenge. There's no way. It's a revenge story, and he becomes something known as he becomes the vigilante, and in this, using his hacking abilities and his many skills with guns, vehicles, and all that crap. He stops crimes and is trying to figure out who caught him and who tried to kill him and caused the tragedy in his life. And that's his main goal. And he tracks down the people who does it and does what he needs to do. And throughout the story, he meets various people who help him through there, including a hacker named Bad Boy, who turns out to be named Claire, if memory serves me. His old associate actually blackmails him into coming back into it. A fixer called Jordy, and a hacker known as a explosives and hacker expert known as T-Bone. And that's the story in a nutshell without going into mega spoilers. I said I can't spoil even what Aiden lost without spoiling a little bit, because they actually didn't reveal this, and it was actually quite of a surprise to me. But I'm going to say this right fucking now. The story's not good. I'm sorry, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. So I've got something in my throat. The story is cliche and predictable. I'm going to be honest, I didn't like the story at all. Like, there was, okay, not at all. There were some aspects that I liked. I liked one or two things, but the story just wasn't that good in my opinion. It's a story I've seen 1,000 times in a different setting. That's it. Now, everyone, you can say that all, but every story is told 1,000 times. In my opinion, here's the thing. A story may be told 1,000 times, but how you tell it is the completely different thing. The story of the guy saves the girl saves the guy, the hero saves the villain, the hero beats the villain, has been told 1,000 fucking times over and over and over again, but it's been told in many different styles that it feels different. This story in Watch Dogs does not feel different. It feels... I've joked about it in a video of mine, but I'm going to say it right now. It's basically, it's kind of like Batman the prequel. It's like before Batman was Batman, it was Bruce Wayne. Like, that's what it feels like. It's like they were trying to go with the whole anti-hero kind of thing, and it just did not work. It just didn't feel... It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel good. Like, Aiden's story it starts off okay, but then it just gets extremely fucking predictable, and I hate predictability. I like it when something surprises me, and even if something is predictable in all honesty, as long as it's predictable in a good way and it makes sense, I'm okay with it. What happened in Watch Dogs, it made sense, but it was boring as shit. The stories didn't grasp me. It really, really didn't, and I just did not like it at all. And also, I gotta say, the characters... Only one or two characters were interesting. The character of T-Bone was actually one I kind of enjoyed a little bit. And another character called Iraq, who's sort of like an antagonist in the game. I did like him a little bit. But the rest of the characters, even the antagonist and the main character of Aiden, I just didn't like them. I don't know what it was, it's just I didn't feel like them. Like, even Aiden's... The only other character I kind of like was Aiden's sister, and she's barely in the game. She's only in it for a little while. At least on screen, at least. But Aiden, in my opinion, is just not an interesting character. He's the same... He's basically Batman. That's the best way I can tell it. It's basically Batman's story twisted and changed a little bit. And it just doesn't feel... He just doesn't feel... I didn't like him. I don't know what. And if I don't like the main character of a game, or a book, or a novel, or a movie, I don't like the story. And I did not like Aiden. He just felt... He kept condescending himself and saying, like... He kept asking himself, why is he doing this? And saying why he's doing it. Trying to emphasize, oh, I'm doing this because of this and that, and then I have to do it. A lot of bullshit. And it just said it over and over again. And he also came across as a fucking cocky twat at some points. He talks about how he studied psychology and how he intimidate people and all that. And it's just like, really? Really? You're playing this guy as fucking Batman. That's the best way I can sum it up. And I just didn't like him. And also, even like Batman, the voice actor took a little bit of inspiration from Christian Bale. Now, I did say this in my first impressions, that he sounded a little bit like Batman, like Christian Bale Batman. And I'm not, he's not as bad as that. I should have emphasized that. He's not as bad as Christian Bale's Batman. But he does try and get that voice a little bit. He tries to put that voice on a little bit too much. And I did not like it. At some point, I couldn't even understand what he was saying. The subtitles, which I had on because I got planned on streaming it and then I never did. And the subtitles said one thing, and then it sounded like he said a completely different thing. And it was like, what the fuck are you saying? So yeah, I don't like Aiden at all. I like T-Bone. Clara is I'm gonna say, right, she's the romantic interest in the game, and while she does serve a purpose for the story, you could have replaced her with anyone else, in all honesty, and you wouldn't have missed anything. You could replace her with a teenage boy and it would have been fine. You could have done anything. You could have replaced her with any character and you'd be fine, in all honesty. That's fine. I don't get that. You could have replaced her like that and I wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have noticed the difference. It's disappointing. Like, I stopped getting hyped for this game as soon as it was delayed. I was like, I'll wait for it. I'm going to be patient. And the story was a massive disappointment in my opinion. It just was a disappointment. I'm going to say it right now. The story is probably, I'm going to be honest, the weakest part of the game overall. It's the weakest part of the game, and I just did not like it at all. Well, some parts I liked, other parts I was like, no. And the only reason I kept playing this game was the gameplay, and also I was like, I had fun playing it. I'll say that right now. So good transition. Let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay is fantastic. That's the best way I can sum it up. The hacking mechanic in the game is where most of the effort was put into this game. When you're getting chased by the police and you can activate streetlights, cause steam vents to blow up, raise blockers, raise spikes, raise bridges to get away from people who are chasing you, it actually makes you feel badass and like you're pulling out all the stops to get out of there, and it feels awesome. It really, really does feel awesome, and I absolutely love that little part of it. Just walking around the town with your phone out, activating the profiler on it, and just walking around, acting like casual, when actually you're profiling people, like, the little icon goes over their head, and it tells you, like, an interesting fact, like, this person likes hentai. I shit you know, that's one of the ones there. And it tells you a little bit about the person, and at some point you can hack the person, get their bank, get money out of their bank, which you're an anti-hero if you're doing that. Get cards, get music, find out about crimes in progress, which is another part of this game. At certain points in the game, they'll say there's a crime in progress, and you can go and stop it, or you can just say, fuck it, I'm done. And this will actually activate a little meter that you have on top, which is actually whether or not you become a vigilante or an anarchist. And I maxed out the vigilante stat because I was a good guy. So yeah, there's that aspect of it, which I did like, the fact that you used your hacking abilities, you used the profile to find criminals and stop them. And I did like that aspect of it. And also how, if you can't just go around, oh, there's the criminal, let me go and beat him up with my nightstick. No, you have to be stealthy and actually wait for him to get ready to activate the crime. And the profiler will tell you how much of a percentage that person has. You go to the area where the crime is being committed, you locate a potential victim or a potential criminal, you have to hide from the criminal and just be like, what's the profiler, like that, and it gets to like 95%, you're like, right, time to move, and smack, 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 I'm a good guy. And you get points and all that, and level up, you do get leveling up, there's a level up system in this game. You can get all the stats, no problem, by the way, I got them all basically. And it's an interest, I liked that part, it was enjoyable. And I liked saving people, I liked going around and profiling people using technology to help save people and all that. And there is a shit ton of content for gameplay wise. There are criminal convoys which you have to follow a certain route, park in it. You have to plan out how you're going to take out these criminals. Sometimes you'll have to kill the criminals, and sometimes you'll actually have to knock them out, and you'll have to take out the protection that they have. There's also gang hideouts in which you have to locate a particular target in an area, locate them using the hacking, which means you get into cameras and all that, and locate where their target is, take out, if you can, get to the target, knock him out without being seen, or just go in guns blazing and get to your target and knock out your target. But if you kill your target, you fail the mission, restart it. I love that. I played a lot of that. There are also fixer contracts, which are primarily driving missions, which I'm not the best driver in this game. In all honesty, this game is not focused on driving. This is no GTA 5. The cars are floaty as shit. I could drive a muscle car or a sports car and they feel the exact same. I'll say that much. And they're floaty as hell. You will go around, you will drive into shit, and you could ram in with a fucking moped and you'll probably do the same amount of damage you do with a muscle car trying to take out your targets. And the fixer contracts are just there for money, which in all of it, you don't even need to do a fixer contract to get money. You just walk around the town hacking bank accounts and you'll have fucking thousands. Within the first 2 hours of the game, I had like $50,000 to $100,000 in my bank in the game, not in real life. In real life I wouldn't be here. But yeah, I liked that aspect. There's a ton of content. There are also a ton of collectibles, from QR codes that you need to scan, to hacking into basically being a peeping Tom. You hack into people's webcams or cameras they've got in their apartment and you watch them do stuff and all that. There are a couple of little Easter eggs to stuff like Breaking Bad and one or two others, which was funny, I'm not going to lie. And peeping into someone on their laptop going, 5 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10. hacking into someone who's playing a weird sex game in which the prostitute's holding a gun at them and playing Russian roulette while he's on a bed. That actually happens. To collecting data and all that. There was so much gameplay-wise that I absolutely enjoyed in that. And it was fun. It was enjoyable. I did the majority of my time playing this game was doing side content. I loved collecting this shit. You also have to find a serial killer and figure out why he's killing his victims and where he is and all that. It's absolutely pretty cool for that aspect of it. You also have to collect audio logs, which give you more on the backstory of certain characters. And I did enjoy that aspect of it. I really am. I'm honest when I say that. I did enjoy that aspect of it, and it was fun. I spent the majority of the time playing that game. Playing the game, doing the side content. That was the majority of the game. When it eventually came to doing the campaign, I was like, okay, I've done all the side content I want to do. Let's go back to the main campaign. There are also mini games like poker, chess, the shell game where you have to follow the ball. What other ones is there? There's augmented reality games, which are like these app things and little trial runs. There's also these things called digital trips, which put you in an alternative universe in the game. It's kind of like taking a drug, except for it's not a drug. And you become a giant spider tank. You're in a sort of like a pure on surveillance town where you're the only human alive, and you have to go around activating generators and avoid getting killed by people with cameras on their heads. To a little hippie thing where you're bouncing on flowers. To a hellish world where you're in a hell car and you're running over people collecting souls. There's a lot of side content. That's probably where a good chunk of their effort went into the gameplay. So there is a fuck ton of content in this game, and this campaign's only a small part of it. Emphasis on small. And that's what I spent most of my time doing. Okay, that's where I spent most of my time playing this game, doing the side content. I enjoyed the side content more than I enjoyed the main campaign, I'll say that much. So let's move on to the next thing, which is graphics. The graphics are nothing impressive. Like, they look... I don't know... this is where it's obvious that they downgraded this game. I do not know why. The next-gen consoles were meant to be the shit and be able to handle things. They downgraded the game on all the platforms, and it looks like a PS3 game. Like, that's not saying it's a bad thing. It still looks good. But when Wolfenstein looks better than you, and this game came out around about the same time, you've got a problem. Wolfenstein's cinematics and facial models on the characters are better than Watch Dogs. The character models in this game look like action figures. They look plastic. One or two look good. Like the main ones like T-Bone, Clara, and Aiden, they look fine. But the rest of the ones, even the ones I mentioned, do look like action figures. They look like... This is where the obvious downgrade was. It was in the graphics. It does not look anywhere near as good as it did from E3 or the last two E3s. And that was blatantly obvious with the trailers. It's obvious that they downgraded the game. Now, don't get me wrong, the game still looks good. It still looks good. It's a little bit better than some of the games that were in the late PS3 era, but it's nowhere near the level of the stuff that they were saying it was going to be. It still isn't. And there are also massive pop-in bugs as well. Like you can see stuff popping in on the console version of the game, which is the version I have. You can see stuff popping in at a distance, which you think they'd get right at this point, but they still haven't. There's still bad. I did come across a couple minor graphical glitches. But yeah, it's blatantly obvious that the game was downgraded in the graphics aspect of the aspect at least, and I did not like that. It basically just says, oh, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Sony or Microsoft that went and says, look, our fucking system can't handle it. Can you fucking downgrade it? Which I would understand them downgrading the console version, but why the PC version? The PC version, let's face it, PC version of almost every game out there is going to be better. The hardware's better. My PC is more powerful than the consoles. Why did I get it on PC? Because I wanted to see the PlayStation. I wanted the game for my PS4. That's why I got it. I could have gone on PC, but I said, fuck it, I'll get it on PS4. I don't regret my purchase. Well, I'll get to that when I get to the worth of part. But it's blatantly obvious, and I don't get why they downgraded the PC version if they just could have downgraded the console versions. I get that it's all sort of one code and it's only slight differences and all that, but at the same time, why? Why? I gotta ask. So yeah, it's blatantly obvious that's where the downgrade was, and I gotta say that the graphics are okay. They're not fantastic. Wolfenstein looked fucking better, and that's both Wolfenstein and Infamous Second Sons looked better than Watch Dogs, and fucking Wolfenstein's main aspect should have been the gameplay, and the gameplay is fantastic in this game. If you haven't checked it, go check out my review. But yeah, it's obvious that the downgrade was in the graphics. I'll make a small comment on the music. The original soundtrack that's played during certain missions is alright. There are some songs I like. Especially, my favourite one has to be a little piano melody that's played towards the end of the game, actually, that I absolutely loved. It really showed the emotion of that scene, and I absolutely loved it. In fact, the music was probably way better than the actual scene, I'll say that much. That should say something. As for like the radio what's on the media app, which is the songs you get to play, there's hit or miss. There are some alright songs on there, none fantastic. Nothing on the level of like GTA or anything. So, gotta say that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can talk about besides that. I guess I could talk a little bit about the online element. I didn't like it too much. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I didn't play it. I didn't play a lot of the online. I got invaded like 4 or 5 times, and all the times I failed it because I suck at this shit. It's basically like Dark Souls level. It's Dark Souls. People invade you, they try and steal your data, or it's like Dark Souls. Like, people invade you, they steal your data, they try to steal your data, you have to find them and kill them. You don't find them to get away with your data, or they have to escape. There are also online races, death matches, and a couple other wee bits and bobs. I didn't play any of the... I got invaded, and I tried to invade a few people, but the connection was just kept going and going and going and going. It's like, I'm done. I didn't play any of the online except for when I got invaded a few times. So I'm not going to judge that on it because I don't play online games that often. Excuse me. Now let's get to the final verdict. Let me clarify. I had fun with this game. I enjoyed it. I really, really did. I enjoyed the gameplay. I had fun playing it. It was really, really enjoyable. I had an absolute blast playing the game when it wasn't the main story. And if you follow me for any length of time, you know that the story is paramount. The story is the best part of the game, in my opinion. So it is one of the most important part of a game, in my opinion. If a game doesn't have a good story, it has to make it up in other aspects of it. But story gets a lot of points for me. And Watch Dogs lost a lot of points for me with its story. It just was not interesting for me. The gameplay does make up for it for a certain point. I'm not gonna lie. So, content-wise, this game has a shit ton of content. There are plenty and plenty of side content that you can do in this game that you'll have hours upon hours of fun, and you'll easily get 20 plus hours if you're trying to do everything. But if you're just doing the main story and a couple of side missions here or there, you'll probably be in about 6 hours. 6 to 12 hours, I'd say. I did as much of the side content as I felt like doing, the stuff that I enjoyed at least, which was finding the serial killer, collecting burner phones, QR codes, and audio logs. I collected a lot of those. I only ended up missing a handful. I only missed like 3 or 4 for a certain character. But the story. This is one I had to think about. Is the game worth it because the gameplay was absolutely brilliant and I had fun playing it? And that's the overall thing about any form of entertainment. It has to be enjoyable, and I have to want to be able to play it again or enjoy it at least once full time. I have to be honest. The story was a massive letdown. I've said that a few times now. And this was the thing that I had to say. Should I say it's not worth it because of that? That is very tricky for me. Like, I had fun playing the game. I enjoyed it. And I'm going to... It's really tricky because I'm trying to, in my mind, to say that I'm trying to find a way to say what I want to say because it's worth it for some things, but it's not worth it for others. Like, if you're going to go in this game looking for a great story, it's not worth it. But if you want to go in this game and have fun, I can't say that you wouldn't have fun, because I had fun playing the side content. Didn't have fun playing the multiplayer, but I had fun playing the side content, and I done a shit ton of the side content. I really don't know what to say. I really, really don't. If you're going to go in this game looking for a great story, it's not worth it. If you're going to go in it just looking for some fun and enjoyment, I definitely say that this. I'm going to have to be honest. I'm going to have to say it right now. This is a new thing I'm making up. I'm going to have to say this game is half worth it. Like, it's enjoyable. I had fun. But at the same time, the story let it down quite a lot. And I enjoyed playing it, but it's just the game just, I can't say it's half worth it. That's basically saying it's alright. I can't say that. If you want a good story, this game's not worth it. The story is not good. It's okay at best, but for me, I didn't enjoy the story at all. I like some characters in it, but overall the story was not enjoyable, and it was predictable and cliche as hell. I just didn't like the story at all. Oh, sorry, not at all. There were some parts I did like, but some of the characters were alright, and some scenes were okay. But the story just was not that enjoyable, and it was very predictable. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic. I had a blast playing it. I definitely, I feel as if I go, okay. It's not worth the price that, okay. Brand new, for £55 is what I spent on this game. I think it's like 40, depending on where you get it from, you can maybe get it for 40 or 50. But for £55, do I feel as if I got my money's worth out of Watch Dogs? Do I feel as if I've got my money's worth out of that? And I have to be honest, I can't bullshit. Watch Dogs is not worth it. I'm going to get hate for this, I know I am. While I had fun with the side content, I really did. I just don't feel as if I got my money's worth out of it. I honestly did not. I feel that a good price for this game is somewhere in the range of 35 to 40, not 55. If you can get it for roughly 30, I'd say 30 to 35, you'd get your money's worth out of it then. But so I definitely say if you can get it on a cheaper platform, not on PS4 because it's a bit too pricey. But for the money I paid for it, I definitely have to say it's not worth it. Like, I still had fun with the game, I still enjoyed it, but I would probably say this is a game that's maybe worth waiting for a drop in price ever so slightly. I'd say spend no more than maybe £30 on it. At the most, in my opinion. I just don't feel as if it was worth the money I paid for, at least. And this was a bit of a disappointment. I know I'm going to get hate for this, but I don't care. I have to be honest with myself. I just don't think it's worth the money they're asking. And I would say if you can get it cheaper, which I think you can get on PC for like 40 quid, which even then's a bit pricey in my opinion, I would definitely say don't spend any more than maybe £30 on this game because it just isn't worth it. So do wait for it to drop in price. I do think it is a game that is worth playing. It is worth playing to see a hacker element in it. But at the same time, it's just, I'd say wait. I'd say wait for it to drop down in price before picking it up, in all honesty. It just, for me personally at least, that's my opinion. But I would definitely say that if you're going to pick it up either way, if you enjoy, I will say this right now, if you want a game that has really, really good gameplay and is fun, and that's all you're looking for, you're not looking for a good story, yeah, go pick it up. But if you're looking for a good story and good gameplay, I definitely would say leave it at least a wee while for it to drop in price. Don't buy it pre-owned. Wait for it to drop down in price, in all honesty. There is one little gripe I have with the game, and I wasn't too sure if I should save this for another video. And I think I might, because I don't know how long I could make that video go for, but I do have to make my opinion on it. But I'll definitely say this right now. Ubisoft are banking on this to be a fucking franchise like Assassin's Creed. I am not shitting you. Especially with the little post-credit scene they have. That's all I'll say. But yeah, I have to be honest, Watch Dogs is not worth it. I would definitely say wait for it to drop in price a little bit before picking it up. But if you can get it for cheaper, then maybe yeah, pick it up. But as of right now, brand spanking new, not worth it in my opinion. So I think I'll wrap things up there. Thank you for watching. As always, I'm Scottish Warrior 92, and I'll see you all next time on Worth It or Not. Mwah. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to help this channel out in any way, shape or form, you can hop over to my Patreon page and donate a minimum of $1 a month to help towards resources for the channel, licenses, equipment and other resources. And hopefully you will consider at least having a little look at my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.